All right, Warren, we are live on YouTube. What's happening over there? I know we got some good stuff going on today.
Hey, Carmine, it's great to see you, brother.
It's good to see you. I know that I really appreciate you putting these workshops together for all the people that could really use some help these days.
Yeah. Now, are we all set? Are people logged in now, or can you tell?
We are. We got some people watching.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll pick up some people on the way. But yeah, it's good to see you. I'm up here in Connecticut. I'm about 50 miles outside of New York City, 45 miles outside of New York City, and it's a beautiful day. How about you down in Tampa, Clearwater, right?
It's weird down here today. It was actually raining for the first time. We didn't get rain all month, the whole month of March. We got a little bit of rain the first day of April, and this is the first time it's really rained in like almost a month and a half. So
wow, they're getting it all out in the West Coast. I think I've heard it a lot in LA and San Diego.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now I know that we've been putting out some good shows. I know we halted on the podcast, your podcast. You're giving up your time for these workshops.
Yeah.
And it was really great. I know we got several different ones coming up. People that are coming to the website or the UIA website, they should go and check out, see what workshops coming up. But also on the UIA TV, YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, and then you'll get updates as we post things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could just take a couple minutes and get started since this is our first show, filling in people of what we're up to. But yeah, you said it best. Carmine and I do a regular podcast throughout the year, and we're putting that on hold during the coronavirus time when we're all at home, and we're going to make this a nonprofit forum for everybody. And to that extent, we'll be doing it for the next 10 weeks at least. And we want to introduce people today who are coming in that may not be familiar with the United Inventors Association. The UIA introduce you and to other people. We do want to give a shout out to our really good friends that will be here today, and want to say thank you to all the club leaders, the inventor club leaders around the country that have been great to let their membership know that what's up here. We want to give a shout out to the board and the other people we're doing, but basically we want to be helpful to people during these difficult times. We do not charge. Now, that's not to say that we won't have guests on that have businesses that you may find interesting or have services that you're interested in, and we'll make sure you can get to them. But the UIA is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We don't have any hidden agenda. We're not looking to get your names and then try to sell you services and stuff. We're all about nonprofit stuff. I personally don't charge inventors at all. And we have an amazing group of people in UIA. Carmine's a board member. We have 15 UIA board members. If you'd like to go on uiausa.org, uiausa.org, go over to our team list, and you'll see our 15 board members with their bios. We've got a couple of also our guests today are board members and ambassadors of the UIA, but we have 15 board members. We have 10 ambassadors of the UIA, and we have 3 folks, our team that sort of orchestrate and run things from behind the scene. So we have almost 30 people involved, and I don't think people realize the UIA is extensive, and we're all spread out across the country. We all meet virtually all the time to do things, and we're very charitable about giving of our time. So that's what this event's all about. We really, 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 for those of you who are watching today and then maybe tune in every Thursday for the next 10 weeks, you're going to meet every one of our board members, and they're all amazing. Some of them are attorneys who have presented before the Supreme Court, and some of them are professionals that have just a ridiculous amount of experience, that are leaders in their industry, and you're going to find that out today and in future shows. So that's number one we want to talk about. And then we want to also tell you that you are free to reach out to any of us. We're going to give you information as we go along. My name is Warren Tuttle. My email, it's www.tuttle@yahoo.com. That's 2 W's, Tuttle@yahoo.com. Feel free to email. We don't charge. Okay, we're here to help. We love helping inventors. We love giving back, because we've had a lot of success in this business. And so if there's anything we can share with you, we would love to do that. And that's what this thing is all about. So before we get too far down the road, Carmen, why don't you add to that and supplement it, and then we'll bring in our guests. So.
Yeah, so so Warren, yeah, all good stuff. What's great about what we're doing here is that we're going to try to cover all the subjects that people are needing. Even myself, when you put the list together, I was like, man, I want to see that. I want to see that. And what's great about it is, even myself being on the board, I haven't really dug into speaking with every board member. I've talked to them, but I can't wait to hear each little piece, the nuances, how they got into it, what they do from each of our board members. And as you said, these guys are top, and even our ambassadors are top in the country, in the world. So giving this access is really unparalleled.
Yeah, and please feel free to reach out to us. So, and by the way, the next 10 weeks, every Thursday at the same time, we're going to get into all types of subjects. And pretty cool, a couple of weeks from now, during what would have been the National Hardware Show, our biggest event of the year, when we run the largest inventor pavilion in the United States there, we are going to do a pitch panel. So reach out to us on that as well, and we'll give you information, and you can apply for that. We can only do 5 or 6 pitches, but it'll be a great experience for everybody. So without further ado, we'll get started with show number 1 today. So it's my pleasure today to welcome 2 really good friends and wonderful people, Andrea Pass and Brian Scanlon, to the show today. Andrea is a PR expert, and she has just such a wide variety of experiences and depth of background. And she's going to take you guys into how that can be really helpful to your business. And Brian owns a company called Posted Social, and they're very much into social media and all that's important today. So this is where we get started today. So let me maybe start by introducing Andrea to our group today. And Andrea, how you doing?
Hey, Warren. Hey, Carmine. Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
How we doing?
Hey, Brian, good to see you too. So, hey, Andrea, why don't we start with you first? Maybe spend a few minutes giving about your background, and then we'll let Brian do that. Then we'll launch into a bunch of questions for you.
Sounds perfect. So my name is Andrea Pass, and I'm the owner of Andrea Pass Public Relations. And I have been involved in the inventor community for years and years and years and years. And as a publicist, I secure press coverage for my clients, many of which are consumer product clients. And what that means is I am making sure newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, podcasts, blogs, everyone's talking about your invention and your product, or you as the inventor, or the product going to a company that's then marketing it, and we're getting the word out in the press. Because the most important thing to understand about the press is it is third-party editorial endorsement. You're not paying for press coverage. You pay for advertising. That's where the difference is. In advertising, you can control your message because you are paying for that spot, that infomercial, that print ad, that online ad. That's where the difference is. In public relations, we are, in essence, telling your story to the press. We are leading the horse to water, so to speak, and we are hoping that the reporter, the producer, the host will want that story enough to do that story on their media outlet. Then, when that story comes out, you, the inventor, take the opportunity to repost that story on your website, on your social media, increase the eyeballs to grow your brand using public relations, grow sales using public relations, increase your reputation using public relations, and keep in mind that you can reuse all of that press coverage to show a retailer that you get press coverage, and this is what your product is all about, or to repost a few months later and a few months later, because a press placement is often evergreen. So you can use it over and over again. So I think the excitement about public relations, especially in the inventor community, is there are so many opportunities to tell your story as an entrepreneur, the fact that you're an inventor, and to tell your story about your product. So I've had a long history, especially in the DRTV, the As Seen on TV category, where I would hold pitchathons and people would come to the pitchathons. Top Dog Direct is one company I worked with for a long time. And a great success story was a gentleman from Baltimore came with a product called the Be Active Brace. He had already manufactured the product, and it was helped to reduce sciatica by wearing this knee brace that had different kind of pressure points in the knee brace. And he came to our pitch event in Philadelphia, and the whole panel was wowed by this pitch and excited by the fact that the product was already produced and there was inventory. We shot the infomercial 5-6 weeks later. It was on store shelves around the country within 90 days. So inventors had this opportunity to meet companies, and I had that opportunity to create these pitch events for the inventor community, which is how I met the UIA years ago. I am proud to be a board member of the UIA and active in the inventor community. So I'm looking forward to giving you tips on how public relations is beneficial to inventors and consistently working with the UIA. And you can reach me at AndreaPassPR.com.
Oh, that's great. And Andrea is such a big help to the board and does so many kind things for us and helping us as a nonprofit get our word out. We very much appreciate that. And I already have about 12 questions for you, but let's let Brian make his introduction. Brian Scanlon. Brian's up in the Boston area. And hi, Brian.
Hey, Warren, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I think this is, great what you guys are doing here with this series. So hopefully people get some value out of this. I don't know how I'm going to top what Andrea just put forward, but I'll tell you a little bit about Posted Social. So I own a digital marketing company called Posted Social, and our niche is running social media advertisements for the entrepreneur, small business, solopreneur, all the way up to kind of a medium-sized business. In the last few years, we've really focused mainly on working with entrepreneurs, small teams, and people that are launching a new product or entering kind of a new space, going from B2B to B2C. And particularly, we've kind of developed this foothold in the inventor community with people that are, maybe coming off a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding campaign or have a prototype and they need to start getting the word out. We kind of work with them in an affordable capacity. There's a lot of things out there in the marketing space that, you don't have Coca-Cola's budget to go spend $1 million a month and place ads. So, the beautiful thing about what we do and the beautiful thing about social media and digital marketing is it's inexpensive traffic. And the thing that's even better than that is there is a free aspect to social media, right? So a lot of people look at social and say, I don't understand it or I don't like it. Whether or not you like it, there is so much value in it for businesses that you have to like it, right? You have to have it as part of your marketing strategy. And what we try to do is work with the inventor, work with the small business to pave the best path and grow with them, right? Not sign them up for 3 months and not care how a campaign goes. We want to grow with the inventor, and we've developed, a good foothold in the e-commerce space. So a lot of people out there developing products, consumer type of goods. We work in that space. I think it's worth mentioning, I work with a guy by the name of Mark Portney, and we manage a team of investors who actually invest in products all the way from buying out the patent to cutting a licensing deal to helping with manufacturing and the whole suite of services. So, we can help inventors in a lot of ways. But I think today we'll focus more on the social media aspect and kind of discuss through this Q&A, tactics, tips, tricks, and how people can go about, developing a social strategy to complement their PR strategy and everything in between.
That's awesome, man. And Mark Portney's a terrific guy, and for many years had a TV program called All American Makers.
Yes.
And it's Mark is just a straight shooter, great guy who doesn't just take money for nothing. He's right in there investing and with you guys on the front line.
Absolutely.
So, stuff to know. So listen, I really want to come back and hit that crowdfunding part hard, but let's just put that aside for a minute. Andrea, come back to you. One of the things as you were speaking, tell me a little bit about PR, local versus national, trade publications versus like local TV stations. I know you kind of do both, but how do you recommend that, especially to a startup inventor?
I think the most important thing for an inventor to understand is before you do public relations, you have to have inventory of a product. Because the first thing any press person is going to say is, send me a sample of the product. They're going to want to touch it and use it, and you can't send a prototype. You can't show them something on a video. There has to be that tangible, if indeed your invention is a tangible product. Obviously, if it's an app or something like that, you can forward that to them. But a tangible product, you have to have inventory because the press is going to want to make sure that should they review, write, interview, broadcast about your product, that the audience can actually purchase it. So keeping in mind that the world of public relations has changed dramatically over the past few years and certainly over the past few weeks. So you have to recognize, do you have something newsworthy? So what is newsworthy about your product? So if we're talking about spring cleaning and you have a spring cleaning item, super. You have a new kitchenware item, great. You have a new auto product or something for pets. Those are evergreen. Right now, we're not talking about snow shovels because it is getting warmer, but come June 1, we're already starting to talk about holiday gift giving. So there are so many opportunities to get press, but if you're trying to get press on your own, you have to start small. Is there a story to tell first? So start with your hometown papers, start with a trade publication in that particular industry. If you have a broom, there's a trade publication for brooms. There are trade publications for everything, but make sure you're doing it the right way. You don't want to be emailing editors constantly. No one is accepting phone calls today, which is sad for me because I'm a telephone gal. I love calling people, getting to know editors and producers on the phone and reporters and telling a story, because obviously when you talk, you can expand your story and get more information out. When you send an email, you can. So recognize what's your ultimate goal. If your goal is to begin that story of increasing brand awareness so that a major retailer will eventually pick up your product because they know that people are talking about it, then start small. Make sure you have your website up to date. Make sure you have social media pages, and I'm sure Brian will go into that with you as well, so that you can repost these reviews and articles and interviews about your invention. Make sure you're reaching out and learning more from the United Inventors Association so you know the steps to take before you start doing publicity, before you start taking on a public relations campaign. So yes, I've had those stories in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. I've had those inventors who've been on Good Morning America and the Today Show. But don't discount your local television shows, your cable television shows, your online television outlets.
Let me just ask you, because before we get to Brian, it's funny because I met an inventor in my hometown because the town newspaper did an article on him, and I looked it up and I called him, and we've gotten to know, we've become friends. But what about the inventor that maybe is developing something and maybe wants to license it, right? And maybe hasn't. I mean, is there ways that you could help them or direct them to like trade industry publications and other areas to maybe get the word out? So maybe companies might have beat a path to their door. I mean, I look through the internet every day. When I see cool products and I like them, I run them down, Is there a way to maybe for them to take advantage of that as well, possibly?
Certainly. There are so many trade publications in the housewares category, in the cleaning category, pet category. All of these trade publications all have online counterparts, which is fabulous, so that they can write about your product. However, before you can even approach the trade publications, you have to have images, great photography. You've got to have a website or a place that you're selling it on. And that can be Amazon or another type of a site, but they want to see this. So before you go to these trade publications, which is a great outlet for reaching those retailers, you've got to get the ducks in a row first. If you don't have great product photography, get it. Great product photography is super important when it comes to any public relations you're going to do.
In videos, I like to say, a picture tells 1,000 words, a video tells 1,000 pictures. But hey, well, let's get Brian in this. And Brian, maybe you could add whatever thoughts you have to that local versus national, and then maybe take us into that crowdfunding area where
sure. I mean, the social media is worldwide, right? Which is nice. So you can reach anybody. And it's one thing that, a lot of people are up in arms about Facebook stealing our data or whoever has, information on us. But from a marketing perspective, if your product is for 65-year-old males in Kentucky, I can target that person. and we can find them. So there's a lot of power in that. And then as far as, it's interesting what Andrea's saying about how you need to, kind of have everything ready for PR. You can do all the prep work through social media, right? So you can run a Facebook page and an Instagram page and a Twitter page and a LinkedIn, and have people follow your journey of developing this product as you're, starting from the ground up, and you're slowly building an audience. This way, when you're ready, you already have hundreds, thousands, whatever, how many people that have been following you along the way, right? And into the crowdfunding piece, it's one way that it's really the only way now to run a successful Kickstarter or Indiegogo is to, kind of twofold. One, you need to have some of the money soft circled before you launch. If you think you're going to, ask for a $50,000 raise and everybody's just going to donate to it, that whole viral aspect has gone out the window a little bit. You got to kind of pay to play now. So in preparing that, you should know kind of where's the money coming from. Can I count on my uncle for a couple grand or whatever, and then ask them to put that in. But in preparing for it and getting eyeballs on it, driving traffic through social media to your Kickstarter campaign or your Indiegogo is the way to do it inexpensively. You also have the PR route, right? Hey, new product that came out. We have, a way to talk about this now. But I think, that whole starting the social media, you all you need is an idea to start posting on your social media. You can use it as a way to track your brand's progression and build that audience before you're ready to really launch it out to the world.
Let's go back. Now we're going to have a whole session in a few weeks or in May on crowdfunding, but with Roy Morjan, who's launched more $1 million crowdfunding campaigns, and he's on the board also. But let's just Brian, just a little bit more in the mechanics, because I know you've done this before, for particularly the crowdfunding. So if somebody wants to, sees Kickstarter or Indiegogo and says, boy, I'd like to raise me $1 million there, and they see other success stories, it's not so easy, right? I mean, you've got to do a lot of development where you got to look. Andrew was talking about the quality of your photos and videos.
Right.
And all. Talk a little bit more about the mechanics and the steps there that they might have to go through,
Yeah, I mean, you can't go off the viral ones, right? Because that's an anomaly. So traditionally now you need to spend money to make money on a Kickstarter campaign. And when we sit down and talk about, okay, how much do you want to raise? We try to put together a marketing budget that will supplement that. We usually come up with a number and then we increase it a bit. So we're asking for more than you want, because we're going to use that extra to make sure we cover our marketing spend and drive traffic to that Kickstarter.
Is there any rule of thumb by how much you're looking at? I mean, or what an average campaign might cost?
It really depends on the space, but you really, if you don't have about 25% of what you want to raise set aside to market, it could be difficult, right? And the nice thing about social is it's not a billboard. I don't pay for it once and that's it. I spend 50 grand to put a billboard on Route 1 and that's my 50,000. You can parcel out, how much you're spending. So if you're putting out a couple $100 a day and you're getting great results, you can ramp it up. If you're putting out a couple $100 a day and you're not getting great results, you can tweak it back and adjust it and try to optimize that campaign. So social media is very controllable on, how you spend your money from an advertising perspective. And that really helps people with their Kickstarter campaign, because, when you press that go button, there's statistics, and I'm sure Roy can go into it. He's way more versed in it than I am. But, if you're not funded by a certain amount of days after you launch, the chances are, you're not going to get funded by X amount more percent. So, there's a prep work that has to go into it, and putting together a marketing plan, putting together a budget, having great video content, having great photo content, all of that helps you. And that's all things you have to do before you decide to list it on Kickstarter.
Well, it sounds like people need help with that. Not your average person knows how to do that, right? Out of the gate, especially an engineer or a designer and an inventor who's got other skill set, right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of help out there. There's a lot of help that, I think people waste some money along the way with certain things, but, you have to look at, like Andrea was saying, what is your goal? What are you trying to do with this? And if the goal is to raise that money, well, then I got to put my effort into raising that money. If it's just to get some PR and press and get eyeballs on it, then I'm not running a Kickstarter. I'm running a PR campaign, and there's different tactics.
Yeah. Let me ask you the same question I asked Andrea then too. A lot of our listeners today and a lot of the people that are looking for help, in the end want a license. I found it's usually a 90% to 10%, licensing to take your own product to market. So obviously if you manufacture products and you've done this before and you're ready, but what if you're just a new inventor that's developing something and you want to get a little bit extra action, or you want to get someone like me who runs open innovation programs interested in your product? Is there things you can carve out individually for a person like that to help them?
Like us in particular, what we do?
Or could somebody use social media to their advantage to target certain areas to maybe get companies interested in calling them,
Yeah, I mean, one real example we just had is we were down in Bentonville meeting with Walmart on a product, and their third question was, first was, what do the sales look like, right? Second is, how are you managing all the inventory? And third was, what are you doing to promote it from a social, from a digital standpoint?
Yeah.
Because they know that if we get your product in our stores, we know what we can do. We know we're going to sell zillions of units. What are you going to do to help us get people in the store to buy it? Right. So on the flip side, if I'm looking for somebody to license it, well, do people know about it already? Are you marketing this thing? Are you putting the word out about on social media, or is it just an idea, which is fine? If you're early in the stage and you haven't done that, those things get licensed all the time too. But I know from our perspective of if we invest in a product, one of the first things I do is go on, their social channels, and our partner goes on the Amazon page and we figure out, okay, is this something that has traction, right? Because if it has traction on social, then usually that's a good indicator of people are going to be interested when we take this thing to the masses.
Well, I'll just tell you personally, before I go to bed at night, I'm sure we all do this, I'm scanning through my phone, my wife is telling me to turn off the light and go to sleep. And I'm usually going through my phone, looking at things. And every so often I'll come across a product or a video or a demo that I've never seen the darn thing before.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'll make a note, I'll do a screenshot in the morning, I will run it down. And I've gotten very good at running down products around the world. And I was just thinking, for someone like myself who's involved in open innovation, product scouting, and other things in licensing, and does that for a living, that if there was a way to reach out to me, so I saw your stuff on social media, it would be really helpful for a lot of inventors.
Yeah, well, that, a good thing is LinkedIn targeting, right? We could target ads through job titles. So, open innovation director, chief marketing officer, licensing, all those job titles that might indicate somebody that's a decision maker that we want to get to. We could run ads for that.
And then I'm going to come back to you, Andrea, in a second to talk about trade shows. But so you just opened up a door there. So talk to me a little bit about LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Just really quickly, the advantages of each site for people. Yeah.
So right off the bat, LinkedIn's much more B2B, right? So if I'm trying to target the professional with something, I should probably be on LinkedIn. Facebook, Instagram are right now the two top performing networks for us, not only from a lead perspective, but from a sales perspective, e-commerce. So if I have a product, most likely I want to be, utilizing Facebook and Instagram. I think if you started up your social media strategy right now and you created a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and a LinkedIn page, that's really all you need right now. Twitter is fantastic from a number of eyeballs perspective, but the return on investment from an advertising play is a little tougher. Facebook and Instagram are cheap traffic with great engagement and great conversions. And LinkedIn is, excellent targeting from a B2B standpoint.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Andrea, let's come back to you now. Now you and I, we've seen each other many times at trade shows, DRTV trade shows, houseware shows. Maybe talk a little bit about your experience of going to trade shows, meeting inventors there, and what advice you might give to inventors. Now, we're going to do some on trade shows coming up, but just your angle on all that and getting involved in the community that you're trying to exploit.
Yeah, and the thing about trade shows, there's nothing better than a face-to-face. And by us having these opportunities on YouTube and on Zoom to have face-to-faces, we still have to continue to do the face-to-face. But when we're doing trade shows and we're doing press surrounding trade shows, my job has always been to secure that press list, to make sure that your pages on that trade show, if you're having a booth, are up to date, has all the right contact information, has the right blurb about your product so people can find you afterwards. Because let's be honest, we go to a trade show, how many business cards do we end up with? A stack. And at the end, do we remember everybody and everything? I don't know. I try my best to, and we all try our best. But when you're doing a trade show, if you could have a booth, that's great. One of the things I always say to inventors, when you do have a booth at a trade show, and whether it be Inspired Home or the hardware show or individual pitch events or toy fair or whatever your specialty is don't give it away. Meaning, if someone's coming over to your booth to learn about your product, don't take your product apart and tell someone how you made your product. I mean, if you have a patent or a patent pending or a provisional patent, you don't want to show anyone all the intricate details because you don't want John Doe and Jane Smith to reproduce your product that you've spent years not only creating, but from your heart that you've put into your product. My job at a trade show is to bring the press to your booth. My job is to introduce you to the press covering new innovations, new inventions, new products at a trade show, because those reporters are writing about that. So the thing about a trade show is I find trade shows to be very grassroots-ish, if that's a term, in that but it's very natural, because if people are walking around and I see they're wearing a badge of the color of the press, believe me, I'm coming over and just introducing myself to them right smack dab in the middle of a hallway to say, oh, have you met? And can I tell you more about? And I make sure that I bring that reporter to the booth of the inventor, or I make sure that I have information on that inventor, or I have a flash drive about that inventor that I'm handing right then and there to that reporter so they can look at that later. We're all very busy at trade shows. Everyone is super busy at trade shows. But having that press and getting on camera or having someone interview you about your product, you also want to follow up. And that's what a good public relations person is going to do. So if you have the opportunity to hire someone externally to do your public relations, you can then spend the time at the trade show doing sales. Awesome. So when you're a solopreneur and you're an inventor that's by yourself, you can't wear every single hat. And I joke about this. I'm not a financial guru. So I have someone else that handles my accounting for me. We all can't be experts in everything. I don't have an expertise in patents and trademarks. So I refer people to attorneys that I know who have expertises in patents and trademarks. So we have to know what we're good at and what we need other people for. So when it comes to public relations and spreading the word and making sure the press is talking about you, well, that's when you come to a public relations person like me. And then you go to an expert in social media marketing like Brian to make sure that your marketing mix is all intact. So trade shows are key. I'm looking forward to the days that trade shows come back to being. I just registered for a small business trade show in June. It's a 2-day trade show virtually. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how I'm able to network with people who would have had booths. But I think that with the United Inventors Association having our mini pitch-a-thon in a few weeks on this educational series and the relationships that we all have, and I think that's an important thing to look at, because I have a lot of relationships in the DRTV space. You have a product that could work in the as seen on TV area, feel free to reach out to me and I can do an introduction to you as well. Brian has his contacts, Carmine has his, Warren, you have yours. We all have great contacts. And I think that's the part of being a family. So since our family can't be at a physical trade show, we have to find other ways to get the story told and have those relationships. So I think that sign up for trade shows, be at trade shows when trade shows come back into being. But in the meantime, search for other opportunities to pitch your product. And Brian, and Warren, can I chime in a little bit about pitching?
Yeah, well, let's hold on for a second.
Yeah, before you do that, Andrea, I do have a question for you. And Andrea and I met at the press area at the hardware show. We ended up sitting and talking for a few hours, and we were like, we better get back down there. But we had so much to talk about. So one of the questions that I get, and we're getting coming in from the Facebook groups, is that I think my product is for everyone. And how can I really narrow down, one, what trade show I should go to? And then two, who my real niche is. I always think when I develop a product, it's for this group, but sometimes as I'm producing that product, I find out it's really not for that niche. that I was thinking about. So is there some quick ways for inventors to really look at their product and figure out what that niche is?
It's a fabulous question, Carmine. And I think one of the most important things is every inventor needs to try to take some emotion out of it. And I know that we think that our product is for a mass consumer audience, but break it down so that you could determine the best dollars to be spent on a trade show. So if you have a new fangled pot or pan, then yes, Inspired Home, which is the new name of the houseware show, that's where you belong. If you have something that's more for DIY, gardening, what have you, the hardware show. If you have a children's product, a toy, well, Toy Fair, or ABC Toy. So I think that start smaller, find out the prices to be able to have a booth. What's going to be the best bet for you? You're better off if you can bring another person with you to do a trade show, to do a booth, do that. I have a client of mine who actually brought a cousin of hers to a trade show. So she had another body for even when you want to step away and get a bite to eat or use a restroom, your booth isn't left unmanned. So I recommend looking at that and recognizing that not every single product is going to be mass audience like a kitchenware product. Maybe you look for a pet show because yours is for a pet. The UIA is active in the PGA show. If you have a golf item, go to the PGA show and show your product there. So I think that from an outreach standpoint, find the trade show that is right for you, but sometimes start a little smaller and start with what's within your budget, and don't blow your whole budget for the year on one trade show. Make sure you have budget for all of the other things that are important in your marketing mix, like public relations, like social media.
Okay.
I could tell you Andrea is darn good at it, because I go to the PGA show every year and she sets up interviews with local TV stations, and I end up like just whizzing through the day, appointment to appointment, as we do it. So it's a lot of fun. So we do appreciate that. Let me remind everyone too, we're going to post all of these webinars on our website, uiausa.org. So if any of your friends didn't get a chance to see this today or tune in, we'll have it up on the site, and we'll have this catalog of material for everybody. So hey, Brian, let me shift to you and ask you the same thing. I know you've been to trade shows also, and I know that you and Mark go out and do to clubs, right? And you guys do pitch panels.
Yeah, we do pitch nights. We were out in Minneapolis earlier in the year. We were down in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Tennessee Inventors Association. It's something we do to go out to local clubs. So if anybody's interested in having us come out to their club, shoot me an email. We can set something up. We were planning something down in DC until, this came about. So once the world's back to normal, we'll be out there doing this again. But yeah, when we go to trade shows, it's the same thing. We're looking for, the right items and items that fit that trade show. We're there to look for the right people. And, unfortunately, sometimes you do see items that don't belong in certain trade shows, and you feel like people wasted a little bit of their money. But, a good way to test also is the response you're getting on social. If I run an ad for $100, I can see the demographics of the people that are clicking on this, right? Those demographics can lead me to figure out, okay, well, based on this, I should probably go to the franchise tailgate show or the PGA show or the houseware show, whatever it might be. So there's research you can do in that sense as well.
It's awesome. So I know, Carmen, I'm sure there's other questions coming in from our audience. So.
Yeah. So one question, and I know that this is going to be very low level for Brian, because he's going to be like, that's an absurd question. But even for somebody old like myself, I do not use Instagram. I don't think I even have an Instagram account. So one of the questions is groups. So Facebook, just Facebook alone, groups and pages. What is better to use for a product, and what are the differences?
Yeah. So, a page, think of a page as kind of an extension of your website, right? And it's a website that you can update your marketing on daily, hourly, by the minute, because you can constantly post on that. So if I have a page, if our company page is out there and somebody likes that page, they will see updates inside that or from that page. most of the time. Facebook's got a whole algorithm, but if I follow a page, chances are I'm going to see their updates. A group can be used for a little bit more intimately, right? So what a lot of people do is they'll say, hey, the UIA has a page, but we also have this exclusive group for, only consumer goods inventors. And you can go in there to get advice from whoever it might be that's an expert in consumer goods. So if I have a product that, has a social mission behind it, or, if I'm a product, we run a group for a product we work with that's in the fitness space, right? So you follow their page to learn about their company and their products, but they have a page that's dedicated to in-home workouts, right? So people go on there and they get ideas. It's kind of a strategic play, but for the most part, if I have a product and I'm just getting started, I want to have a Facebook page, not necessarily a group. A group is much more interactive and idea sharing and topical. A page is more, here's what's going on about our company.
Okay, good.
That makes
And
sense.
now, again, if I have a product that I just want people to start seeing, you think that I should just kind of put it out on that page? Obviously, if I have it protected through IP, whatever, I can just create a page and let people kind of notice it that way. I don't really have to throw too much money at it.
Absolutely. That's the nice thing about social is you could pop up a Facebook page right now in the next 30 seconds, and you could post all about your product. You could share that with all your current friends personally. You can post it on all your other personal social networks. Everything you put out there now has a chance to be connected to each other through social media, through sharing, through liking, seeing it on a friend's timeline, whatever it might be. So the free aspect of social, you could, some people just do free social media. They don't spend money on advertising, right? They put their money elsewhere, but you still have to have that presence, because I know now, if I look for something, if I look up something, I go to their website, I go to their social media, right? Those are the two things that I check, whether it's a restaurant and where to eat. I'm looking at their Instagram to see if they have nice food, or if it's a product, I'm going to their website to see, does this look legit? I go to their Facebook to see what people are saying about it. Oh, they have 8 fans. Well, what are they doing? Is it really what they make it look like it is? So all of that is just, creating a brand, so to speak, right? You're just branding yourself.
Yeah. All right, good. And then, and I love this because we could just fire these questions off, even things that I don't do that much myself. I love making things. I don't I don't do the social media stuff.
Right.
And so your thoughts, and I'm going to ask Andrea from different ideas, different markets, your thoughts on influencers and if they are beneficial to getting a product out there.
Okay, I'll jump in here. So we just had a client get picked up. Kim Kardashian reposted their product.
Who's that?
She's an actress. So she reposted the product. Now she is the most influential influencer in the world, right? There is nobody bigger that when she posts something, people buy it, right? And their sales skyrocketed to the point where they sold out on Amazon, and now they're taking pre-orders. They didn't have the inventory but at the same time, they didn't know it was going to happen, right? So they weren't prepared for it. She just happened to organically post about it. If we wanted to pay her,
happens.
it doesn't
Usually
happen.
She wants to be paid millions of dollars.
It doesn't happen, right? If we said, hey, can you post about this? She'd say, yes, give me $7 million, right?
Exactly.
And it might be worth it. We don't know. But so that organic part, it worked for them. It was fantastic. These micro influencers, people with 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers, we've steered away from going that route because they all think they're worth more than they really are. And it becomes a big time HR customer service job versus doing what you really want to do, right? So essentially you're just you're a relationship manager at that point. And for us, we weren't seeing enough return, giving these influencers codes. And if somebody uses your code, it's great. Find people that want to post about your stuff for free. That's where you're going to get more bang for the buck. If it costs sending them one product and it costs you $10, do that every day of the week. Don't pay them to post about it.
Cool.
And that's exactly what public relations is reaching out to these bloggers who are writing reviews, and we provide them with products. But it's my job to make sure not only do they get the product, but they know the website, they know all the social media handles. So they're able to write an effective review. I'm not an influencer fan. I find that we're talking about clients, in this case, inventors, who don't have massive budgets. And this person wants $250 to write one Instagram post, and this person wants $50 to do a Facebook post that's going to be a list of 10 products, and you'll be included in there. And this person wants $500, and this person wants $1,000. And to manage that and to have this pouring out of cash and more cash and more cash, when you can take that budget and put it toward effective public relations, in which the only thing you're spending extra on is shipping your product. And quite honestly, you don't need to ship your product overnight. You can ship your product in a method that's 3-day, 5-day, whatever, and it'll get there, and you don't have to spend that amount of money. The only time that you might have to ship something overnight is if you have a TV station interested in doing it, you know, the next day or 2 days later. But for the most part, influencers, I'd say put that on the back burner right now in your budgets if you're an inventor, and focus on traditional public relations and traditional social media and social media advertising to increase those worlds. Because honestly, everyone else is not Kim Kardashian. And these people who think, and you'll see these stories coming out about these influencers who bought followers. So just because on their page it seems like they have 15,000 followers or 100,000 followers, it doesn't mean those are legitimate followers. And is there engagement? And if there's no engagement and no one is liking or commenting or sharing, then that number means absolutely nothing. So focus on the fact that you want content that you can reuse. And whereas a blogger may not have a lot of engagement on a Facebook page, that blogger still has followers who are reading the blog, and you can take that link and use it on your social media because it's editorial content. So remember, public relations is giving you additional content to use to increase those eyeballs. And yeah.
By the way, one of our board UIA board members, Mike Lindell of MyPillow, got a big shout out from President Trump the other day with his 50 million followers. So.
And I have to tell you, I actually did a PR campaign for Mike Lindell a number of years ago, and we invited press to come to his plant in the Minneapolis area. I had so much fun because we were watching people stuff MyPillows and everything done by hand in this factory. And he has the nicest people working for him. They are just down to earth people.
It's a great place. And to Mike's credit, he's shifted over half of his workforce, hundreds and hundreds of people, to making masks. And I know he takes a lot of grief sometimes, but he's, but he's doing a wonderful thing there. So it's really
and I think one of the nice things about people like a Mike Lindell, and I'm not getting into anyone's political views, but a person who just has it from his heart. And I think inventors in general, whether you're a Mike Lindell or you're John Doe in the middle of your garage, we have a heart and a soul to be able to make a difference and create something that'll change people's lives, whether it's their sleeping or their pet or their fitness. So I think that inventors have it, and there's a story to tell.
I'm going to give Mike a little shout out. He's given generously, and he came to our All-American show in the fall, and he's done a lot of great things. So you know what? He's in a lot of places doing a lot of things, and he's an inventor himself, and really wants to give back to the inventor community with my store and all the other things he's doing. So we'll just give him a little plug there.
Hey, another question's coming in, and I want to hit Brian with this after you, Andrea. So I might have to cut you off. Radio. It seems to me like radio, for some reason, is coming back. And do you think that radio is still playing a role in PR?
So that's for me first. Okay. Radio, the challenge with radio is that you don't have that clip to then reuse. And in today's public relations world, I like there to be that tangible for a client to reuse, whereas podcasts are up there for when you want to listen to them at your leisure, and for you, the inventor or the company or the small business, to repost. So I am steering my public relations efforts for clients away from traditional radio and toward podcasts because of the fact that I want there to be that opportunity for increased brand awareness, reuse, repost, increased sales. So I'm not doing a big push on traditional radio. However, traditional radio is in my heart. I was the news director at my college radio station. Shout out to WGLS FM, Glassboro, New Jersey. And
that was in the 90s. That was in the 90s, right?
You're being so kind.
Right. That was the 90s.
Actually, my birthday's tomorrow, so I decided I'm getting younger.
Hey.
When you went to Princeton.
Glassboro State College.
Hey, Brian, do you recommend any kind of media, radio or TV, and push to social media, or you kind of keep them both apart?
We've only had a few clients, that took people up on podcast offers, as far as putting a code through a podcast, and it worked for them. You need somebody like Andrea to take you through that. It's something that you can waste a lot of money on if you don't have your hand held by the right person. That's not something we do. That's something we'd say, Andrea, you take it over from here. But I think, I just canceled my Sirius XM subscription because I only listen to podcasts in the car now, and Spotify and, Apple Music. So what are we doing here? Why do I love Howard Stern, but you know what? I could do without it because I get everything I need through the podcast. So yeah. I think podcasts are, the way to go and taking over, and people are making millions of dollars running podcasts. So there's got to be something to it. That advertisement's got to be working.
Yeah, no doubt. And you have a podcast out too. You can't say the name, but.
Oh, is this a PG channel?
Yeah.
You have one too. We're with you, man. So we just launched it, and it's going pretty good. So I'm excited for more.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. So to me, TV, radio is awesome. I'm going to get an Instagram channel after we hang up here, because I think I got to get on Instagram. Warren, you have an Instagram, or I think your Instagram name's the Tiger King, I heard.
It's funny with Instagram, though. I use Instagram, though, more personally to do fun stuff, more creative things like taking a picture of a stream or a lake or woods, or if I'm someplace just having fun or see something unusual. I don't use it to market anything. It's just sort of a fun thing, which Brian, you're the expert on this, but I think it's kind of fun because if you have your business pursuits and your social pursuits, and then maybe some people already see there's a different side to you, and I always get a lot of likes from people from the business world on that. So I don't know, it's kind of a fun round out, I think.
Hey, Brian, real quick. We got a question that just came in. Just give me 2-minute explanation. What do they mean by guerrilla marketing?
So it's kind of like recruiting, a recruiting perspective think of it as viral, right? So you're trying to blast this word out, and, you're using your network, you're using paid advertisements. Guerrilla marketing is like, spamming the world, so to speak, with your message, right? And, you could get lucky and people could jump on and participate in something for free. Like, there were those things a couple years ago where people were doing like the go to a place and they stop and they do some stupid dance or whatever, and they're wearing the shirt that says, this is my company's name. Like that's guerrilla marketing, like hit you in the face, wow factor, group stuff. Not your traditional, here's a print ad or a billboard or a media ad. Yeah. So it's, again, you need resources to do that, right? You need a network. You need to blast it out there. You make a controversial video and, at the end, there's a message about your product, or it's kind of diverting your audience and then hitting them with your product at the end of it.
So Andrea, is that kind of stuff to try to target the media to see that kind of stuff?
It's the world has changed. Yeah. So the world has changed.
She's like, what?
What guerrilla marketing is not the way to go. It's
Agreed.
Really an opportunity for you to get your story told. And I think that for an inventor, not only having your story of your product, but your story and telling your story, because there are so many opportunities out there of publications looking for entrepreneurial stories, looking for the backstory. So to be able to tell your story, and what I do as a PR pro is I spend time with my clients helping you understand what's your message point. How do you get the story across? Because you don't want to come across as long and drawn out or repetitious. You want to make sure your story is moving along so it interests somebody, because when it comes to absorbing media, and I've done research and there's different numbers. Some say 8 hours a day. Now people are saying 11 hours a day that we are absorbing media. So whether that's television or newspapers or magazines or online content or podcasts or what have you, we are absorbing all of this media. So best bet is to skip this attempt at guerrilla marketing today and think about how you can tell your story effectively, because of the fact we wear so many hats. So even though I'm a public relations pro and Brian is a social media pro, it doesn't mean that we don't have other things in our lives, whether that's family or fitness, or I'm in a book club. I love to read books or watch Tiger King. So we all have our different things that we do in our lives. And I think that becomes part of a story and making you human in your marketing and in your outreach. So
Awesome.
Skip the guerrilla marketing and yeah. Skip traditional public relations and social media.
Everything else, he does this 24/7.
This is it, man. Eat, sleep, and breathe it. That's all.
All right, Warren. I mean, we have a few other questions. We'll answer those and get back to everyone. Gonna throw it back to you. Maybe you can give who's ever on just a rundown of some of the upcoming workshops, and I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, no. And Carmine, this is great. And Andrea and Brian, you guys are terrific. And hopefully from a macro standpoint, everybody who's watching today gets a feel for two really genuinely wonderful people. One of the great things about the UIA is we're a community. We're really good friends. We have a lot of connections with the clubs and people in our industry around the country. I feel like we're a big family, and it's really nice. These are two people I know really, really well. They're salt of the earth. They would stop what they're doing on a dime and help you guys and everyone. And that's what we want to be known for. But now we've got a lot of great ones coming up next week, next Thursday, a week from today, same bat time, same bat channel. Am I dating myself, Andrea? We have Matt Nuccio coming on. Matt's one of the top independent toy designers.
That's going to be a good one.
He's going to talk about the toy industry. 2 weeks from now, we have an awesome show. We have Kedma O and we have Dara Trujillo. Kedma and Dara, both board members, UIA board members, are going to talk about angel investing, raising money. Kedma's written a great book called Target Funding, which is she has an MBA, and she'll tell you all secret ways to get access to money, particularly for women and minorities, but it's going to be for everybody. And then on May 7th, which would have been during the hardware show, which for full disclosure is one of my favorite times of the year, because we host the largest inventor booth pavilion in the country and one of the best in the world. We're so geared up. And by the way, the hardware show has been moved to September 1, 2, and 3. So we do plan to be in Vegas then, God permitting, but we are going to actually do a pitch panel. We are encouraging the club presidents and leaders and other folks that want to apply. We have a jot form, and what we'll do is 5 or 6 pitches. So those people will get the wonderful exposure of doing a pitch, and everyone else can watch and critique them. And it's a great learning experience. We will be vetting you from behind the scenes with Kathy Kierick, our UIA trade show director, to make sure you're ready for pitching, and that you're not giving away any trade secrets or anything like that, which Andrea referred to before. So those are the next 3 or 4 weeks coming up. But we go into U.S. Patent and Trademark Office with Liz Dougherty. We have Roy Morjan, who's probably the most knowledgeable crowdfunding person in the world, who's on our board. We have licensing with Trevor Lambert and Russ Williams. We've got it just goes on and on. We're going to get every single one of our board members involved in this, and every single one of our ambassadors and team. And it's going to be just hang in there, and you're going to meet people you never heard of before and didn't realize that we even existed, I think. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As always, Warren, thank you so much for all you do, everything that you do. Andrea, Brian, thank you for being on today. For all you,
thank you
online, thank you for listening in today. Remember that these videos will be available after this, so please share them, send them out to people you think might need them. And as Warren said, we will catch you next week, same bat time and same bat channel. You all take care.